Good morning. I'm sitting here with my cup of tea, warming my hands. Yes, I live in San Diego, and I'm sitting here with a cup of tea, warming my hands. First of all, because I'm English, and secondly, because it's cold. It's drizzly and it's cool, and it's very, very sad to have weather like this in April in San Diego. Cheers. Lovely breakfast tea I found locally. Warms you up as it goes down. I'm lucky because in England, where my family lives, it snowed over the weekend. Yes, I'll say that again. It snowed over the weekend. At the end of March, it was my mother's birthday, and she sat in the garden and had some friends around. Had to sit in the garden, had to be in the open air because of COVID restrictions. And it was a glorious afternoon, and they had tea outside. And now it's snowing. What's up? On to business. Right. This is a big subject. This is a very big subject. In fact, last week when I was talking about sales, I thought that was a big subject because most of the people I'm working with think it's a big subject because they're afraid of it. This next subject, most people don't even know about or think about or consider. So let me tell you how it came into my life. Oh, and by the way, do you know what it is? Let's talk about leadership. Ooh, I'm not a leader. Why would I want to talk about leadership? I'll go and do something else and let her natter on. Don't go away. Listen to this one. And if you have any thoughts while we're doing this, and you do happen to be listening live, throw them in the chat because I would love to see what you think about it. See if you had the same feeling that I did. A long time ago, when I was living in London, I can't remember exactly how it came about, but I ended up doing a personal development course, an experiential personal development course, really extraordinary and incredible and life-changing. And we did lots of exercises and things that would prompt us to have thoughts and change things and change the way we looked at life. And it was fantastic. And then there was another step you could do that took you even deeper down the path of self-development or personal development. And then there was another one. And then there was a rumor about the fact that the final piece, the icing on the cake, was a course called leadership, something to do with leadership. And I remember thinking, I don't need that. I'm not a leader. I'm not interested in being a leader, leading people. No. That's not what I want to do. So I won't be doing that one. Now, at the time, I was in my second or third TV job. I started working in television in what's called a facilities house. That is where they have all the cameras and the lights and all the equipment and the crew and everything. And if you're doing a production, you call us and you borrow the equipment from us. And my boss decided he wanted to start making little films. Well, my boss was actually a news journalist. So he was off around all over the place, and he decided he wanted to be at home more often and make his own little films. So he sent me off to become a production assistant, or he gave me a course to become a production assistant. And out of that, eventually I became a producer, and I worked for an educational television channel, and that was a long time ago. But that's the time that I was doing these courses. So I didn't think that I would be in a position of leadership. I imagined that I'd have a job for the rest of my life. I guess I imagined I'd be working with that TV company forever. And so it wasn't on my radar. That was because I didn't know at the time what leadership is. So let me first of all tell you what leadership is not, just so that we clarify things. Leadership is not learning how to control other people. It is not being able to get people to do what you want to do. It has nothing to do with having a group of people or a team of people around you, or speaking to large groups of people and having them love you forever. That is not what leadership is about. So don't be confused about that. If you're an individual working on your own and living on your own that doesn't even have a dog or a cat, you still need to be good at leadership. Leadership is probably not the right word for this, for those of you who have a complete misunderstood on it like I did. Because I remember being introduced to John Maxwell years ago and looking at the books that he was writing, and they're all about leadership, and thinking, again, I don't need these. I'm not a leader. I'm not ever going to be a leader. Well, I was wrong. Obviously, I have become a leader of sorts. Possibly because I developed leadership skills. But that wasn't the purpose behind it. Recently, also, I've been reintroduced to the concept of leadership, and by people who train people. They've, suggested, there are leadership courses that can be done, and we ought to promote leadership and so on. And I've been thinking about what other kind of a word could be used for leadership. So let me throw some out there and see how they fit. How about ethics? How about integrity? How about accountability? Any of those fit? Now, look at those words. Doesn't that make the whole thing seem completely different? Okay, now this is only my take. This is not the official understanding, but this is how I understood what leadership is about and how leadership works. It's about me being ethical. It's about me being in integrity, and it's about me being accountable, taking responsibility. Now, that's all to do with me. It isn't to do with anybody else. So what does it look like? Ethics and integrity means that I say something and it's real, and I'm going to do everything in my power to make it happen. So if I say to an audience of people, I'm going to be online on a Tuesday at 11 o'clock in the morning. There are people who are going to come and watch me, and there are people who are going to come home from work at 3 o'clock and think, great, Andrea was on and I'm going to be able to watch that now. Or if I say to my daughter, at the weekend, I'm going to take you to the beach. Or if I say to my electric company, I will be mailing you a check on Wednesday. Or if I say to my boyfriend, I love you. These are all things that people say quite often, and sometimes don't think about the significance and the consequence of what they've just said. Because when you have ethics, or when your ethics are high, and when you are in integrity, those things then happen. I can't say, well, as long as most of the time I'm on air at 11 o'clock, that's fine, because I said I'd do it. As long as I do it most of the time, that's okay. It's not. When I make an important decision and an important announcement like that, I have to be there. I have to show up and be there. And if I'm not going to be there, I have to make arrangements for something else to be there or someone else to be there, so that when you tune in at 11 o'clock, something is happening, right? Like over Christmas, over the holidays, I took a break, but I had somebody put out a pre-recorded video, and I don't know whether you even realized there was still something there at 11 o'clock. We've had arguments and disagreements and upsets at home because we've said, oh, we'll try and go to the beach on Sunday, and then something's happened and it hasn't happened because we didn't try hard enough to keep our word. That's also about taking responsibility. It's about taking responsibility for something that you say. It's about taking responsibility for everything that you say, actually, and everything that you do. So if you're on your own, if you're living, as I said, on your own, and you're working from home on your own, you might be a freelance writer or something. I imagine you probably spend a lot of time at home alone, especially in the last year, and you don't have a dog or a cat that's relying on you for food or walks. Why does it matter whether you say something and do it? Why does it matter that you say to yourself, I'm going to finish work early today and I'm going to have a beer on the patio, or watch that great film, or go up early, go to bed early so I can get up in the morning and go for a run? What does it matter when you say those things, if you do them or don't do them? It's a real question, because some people think it doesn't. And if you say those things, it doesn't matter to me, and it doesn't matter to your neighbor, and it might not even matter to your best friend, and it might not matter to your spouse or your children, but it matters to you. To you. And you're the important person here. Because when you say you're going to do something, and then for some reason it doesn't happen, which actually is a euphemism for you don't do it, you feel bad. Somewhere deep inside you, something feels bad. And it begins like a little niggle. And then it gets bigger, and then it gets bigger, and then it gets bigger, and then it gets bigger. And then I talk to people sometimes in their lives, something's gone wrong and they've got a breakdown and they're unhappy, and we talk and they're like, oh, I really hate myself. You know why that happens? That happens because you eventually lose respect for yourself, because you know you can't keep your word. Because inside of you, there's kind of like two minds. Funnily enough, there's an expression about that, right? People talk about being in two minds about something. That means they can't make their mind up. But you actually do have two minds. You have the mind that is connected to your spirit, to your heart, right? The mind that is your intuition. And then you have the other mind that's much easier to access, much more noisy. That's the one that says, oh, hang on a minute, that's not a good idea. Oh, hang on a minute, you shouldn't want to do that. What if that person says no? No, you don't want to push out. You don't want to reach out. You don't want to do this. You don't want to get up early. You want to stay up late. You don't want to just have one little beer. You want to have 3. Or why don't you have some chips as well? Yes, you're on a diet, but you can do that tomorrow. That's the other voice, right? So whether you love yourself or hate yourself depends on which voice you're listening to. Whether you're good at leadership, whether you're good at directing yourself through life or anybody else, depends on which of those two voices you listen to. Now, the hard one to listen to is the deep one, the intuitive one, the one that says, as much as I love my job, I'd really like to be an entrepreneur. I'd love to do this. I'd love to explore. I'd love to write a novel. I'd love to whatever it is. Ooh, and as you think about it, your body lightens. I mean, literally from a weight point of view, you feel lighter, you feel taller, you feel bigger, you feel powerful. And then there's the other voice that comes crashing in and smashes all your dreams. And that's the one we listen to. I don't know why. Because it's the reasonable one. It's the mature one. It's the one that's working from the standpoint of, you know what's possible. You know how the world really works. You're not a teenager or a kid anymore. That's a pity. It really is, because I'm absolutely certain that the people who've changed the world are the people who did not stop and listen to that voice. I'm certain they had one. Absolutely, they'd have a voice that says, what do you mean you can build an electric car? You know, what do you mean you can run a mile in 3 minutes or whatever it is? You know, all of those people have those voices. All of them. What do you mean you can lose 80 pounds? Don't be daft. You wouldn't be able to eat chocolate cake anymore. Chocolate cake's your favorite. And you go, yeah, oh, actually, that would be really painful not being able to eat chocolate cake. Yeah, I'll just have a little piece. And there you go. That voice has won. So let's pretend that voice doesn't exist anymore. Let's focus on the other one that says, yes, I want to do something big. I want to do something powerful. Now, once you've heard it, if you keep denying it or pretending you didn't hear it or listening to the other one, you're out of integrity. Your ethics are off. And think about how you would be, how you would think, how you would feel if it was somebody else. That tea is calling me again. I do apologize. Cheers, everyone. There you go. Is it just an English thing? I don't know many people who drink tea here. Anyway, so if I said to you, I'm going to be here next Tuesday, and I wasn't, or I turned up at 12 or 11:30, or I sat there saying, I haven't actually prepared anything to say today, you probably wouldn't mind at all. You'd think, oh, that's a bit odd. Or if I put up a message saying, can't do the broadcast today because I'm not feeling very well, you'd think, oh, interesting, but it wouldn't really bother you very much, would it? But what if I did the same thing next week? Or I did the same thing the week after that? Eventually, you'd get irritated. And then what would happen? You'd stop coming. You'd stop looking for a broadcast, right? You'd assume that I was going to come up with some other excuse not to do it, right? And you'd stop even tuning in to see if I was there. And then you'd start to dislike me. You wouldn't want to work with me anymore. You'd unsubscribe from my email list. You'd ignore my Facebook group. I don't know if you can get out of a Facebook group, but you would if you could, right? And then if somebody said, hey, I've just come across this woman, Andrea Koochin, you'd go, forget her. She's useless. Which isn't actually true, but you got that viewpoint because of the way that I acted. So you don't like me now. So you're not going to, if I then reached out to say, hey, I've just found this great new thing, you'd be like, I don't care. I don't want to do anything to help you. I am not interested in you. You let me down. Now, when it's somebody else, we're much more lenient and forgiving than we are with ourselves. But when it's ourselves, we are ruthless, ruthless. Now, a lot of you might have heard all this before, which is great. Here it is again. For some of you, this might be new, and it might, whether you've heard it before or not, it might seem unbelievable. And I'm not going to suggest you experiment either, because I don't want you to end up hurting yourself, because it is actually almost physically painful when you've gone through a process of making promises to yourself that you've then consistently broken. Changing a habit of any kind. If you have said to yourself, I'm going to go to bed half an hour earlier so that I can read a book, or I'm going to get up half an hour earlier so I can do my emails before my first meeting, or go to the gym, or whatever it is, whatever habit you've tried to change and you haven't, has made you feel a little bit bad about yourself on some level, to some degree. And that makes you a little bit sad. And it makes you a little bit more cautious about having another go at another brilliant idea you might have had. And you've started a spiral of things getting worse and worse and worse. And then it gets to the point where you don't trust yourself and you don't love yourself and all your dreams go to hell. That's not good. Let's not go there. Right? So as of today, I want you to think of something that you've been meaning to do, or you might have said to yourself that you would do, and you've not done it for whatever reason. Let me think of what it could be. Do more exercise, eat more salad, drink less wine, stop swearing, be nicer to your spouse or your kids. Sit in the sun for half an hour a day. Build a snowman, even if it's in April. No, that probably isn't on your list. Clear out the garage. See where I'm going? Everybody's got something that they've been meaning to do that's on their I'll get round to it one day to-do list, if they've even written it down. You probably wake up in the middle of the night thinking, oh, damn, I really meant to do that. I just haven't done it. Let's start. Let's start today tackling one thing. I want you to put into the Facebook group, doesn't matter when you're watching this, whether you're watching it live now, whether you watch it later on, whether you found it a year later, doesn't matter. Right now, think of something that you are going to do that you've been meaning to do for a while, but haven't actually managed to get round to doing. I'm going to give you a minute. More tea. Ready? Okay, it probably wasn't a minute, but you get the picture. Write it down somewhere. If you put it in the Facebook group, you will be supported because we'll all be helping each other move forward and get it done, right? If you didn't, that's fine. You don't have to. Write it down somewhere. Now plan it out. Yes, I really mean it. Plan it out. So if it was, I'm going to read this book, and it's a book of 1,000 pages, and you're going to give yourself a month to read it. And a lot of you have probably heard this before. That's 4 weeks. You break your 1,000 pages down into 4 pieces, which is 250 pages. And you say to yourself, I'm going to read 50 pages a day. I'll get through 50 pages a day. In 5 days, I'll get through 250. In 20 days, which is effectively 4 weeks, which is a month, I will have got through all of them. We'll plan it out like that. So whatever it is, I want to run the marathon next year. All right, so how much training do you have to do? Put it in your calendar. Do a chart of activity. So write out your days. So if it was the book, you'd write out your days, Monday to Friday, 5 days, 4 times, and you would write down the number of pages, and say you did 50 on Monday, you'd write 50. Right? And then you'd write 50 on Tuesday and 50 on Wednesday, or 23 on Wednesday, which means you've got to maybe do some extra over the weekend or do some more tomorrow. See how it goes. This is planning. This is a really simplified version of what planning looks like. Plan it out. I'm going to lose 40 pounds. Right. How am I going to lose 40 pounds? What action am I going to take in order to do that? What is coming up? So am I going to stop sugar, do more exercise, throw away my Coca-Cola, whatever it is that you decide to do? And then on the other side, you have that's called lead statistics. In other words, it's the things that will lead up to that happening, because deciding to stop eating sugar and stopping eating sugar and only eating salad for the next 6 months is not what the result is. That's what the action is. So that will lead you to your result. And then we measure that. Did you not have sugar? Check. Did you eat your salad? Check. Or did you read however many pages it was? 30, 50, whatever it is. So you record that, and that's your lead statistics. And your lead statistics brings you to your result. You've lost the weight, or you've read the book. And then that number, whatever it is that you're counting, is your lag statistic. In other words, that's what happens after you've done what you were going to do. So I've lost 3 pounds this week, right? Or I've read 250 pages this week. That's your lag statistic. That's what happened after your action. So figure out what you're going to measure of your activity, which is going to get the result that you want. Do the action that you said you're going to do, and then measure the result, the lag statistic. So I am going to read 50 pages a day. Monday, I read 50. Tuesday, I read 50, etc., etc., etc. End of the week, how many did I get done? 250. I'm on target, right? That's what we do. Now, what's going to happen to you at the end of that process? What is going to happen to you when you have finished the book and you got it done on time, or a day early? What happens when you get to the end of your 6 months and you've lost 80 pounds, or 85 maybe, or whatever it is, or even 75? How are you going to feel about yourself and about life? What's changed? What's changed is your ethics. You made an agreement and you stuck to it. Your integrity. You had a dream, you fulfilled it. Your responsibility. You took responsibility for your actions. Your accountability. You did what you said you were going to do. You kept track of it so that you knew you were on target. You didn't just wander off and then come back at the end and go, oh, yep, I hit that target, or, oh, no, I missed that target. You actually planned every step and measured every step so you knew you were there. Now, what did we say those things were? They're leadership. So if you can change your life by taking one little step today, one little thing that you say you're going to change, and mine is I'm going to go to bed a lot earlier, because over the year that my daughter's been schooled from home and I haven't had to get up to take her to school, my whole routine has changed. And my husband is a night owl and I'm becoming slightly night owlish, right? Which I don't want to be. It's not who I am. I can do much more in an extra hour in the morning than I can in an extra hour in the evening. Right? Because I feel better, I feel fresher, I'm working in daylight rather than fake light, and all sorts of reasons why. So that's my thing. I'm going to actually, and we can talk about this later, right? We can keep track of it. I'm going to be in the Facebook group saying, you know, telling you how I got on. I'm going to actually record my statistics to measure, you know, I'm going to give myself points based on what time I went to bed. And I'm going to see how many points I scored at the end of the week and see how that goes. You get a double effect. Not only did you then change a habit and improve something that you were wanting to improve, but you actually feel good about the fact that you've done that. And that to me is what leadership is about, because it becomes a habit. Saying you're going to do something, committing to something, and then following through becomes a habit. And that is a very good place to be when you're going to run a business. And it's going to help you run that business. For some of you who haven't started, this will help you start. And for those of you who've started and got stuck and listened to that voice that was reasonable and responsible and told you all the reasons it wasn't going to work, you can flip that over in an instant and listen to that deep, deep voice that says this is what you want. And you can step into your leadership. You can be accountable. You can be in integrity. You really can fulfill your dreams. And that's it. That's all I have to say today. So if you have any questions or any comments, feel free to put them in the Facebook group, or you can even jump over and put them in on YouTube. We will do our best to answer as many comments as possible. And I will be posting in there to tell you how I got on. Hadn't had that planned before I started talking. That was a spontaneous thing. So I'm going to have a look at how I'm going to organize it, what time I'm going to go to bed, how many points I'm going to give myself, etc., etc. And we'll do this together. We'll take the step together. This is the kind of thing that I work on with my clients. And now I'm going to be working on it with you. And we'll see where it takes us. Okay, that's it. Have a fantastic Tuesday. I will see you again for sure next week, one way or another, whether it's snowing in England or raining in San Diego or the sun is shining brightly on all of us. I wish you a lovely, lovely week, and I'll see you again. Take care. Bye-bye.